Chapter 3. Helm. Be past Sollux. Your blood pressure pounds as you race down the hallway. As the terrifying urgency of what you're doing and the severity of the consequences for failure settle deeper into your mind, you expect them to make you more hesitant, but they don't. There is nothing else in your life that you have been so certain you needed to do. From an early age, you knew what you were always destined for. Doomed for, really. What else could a psionic of your caliber expect upon ascension? The Empire would never let that much power go to waste. You spent sweeps, resigned to your fate, certain that you had nothing to hope for, nothing to aspire to. That is, until Feferi's takeover started showing potential, and she enlisted the help of all her friends, including you, with the promise that everything could finally change. You tagged along, for lack of anything better to do with your time, helping, but not hoping. But as it all came together, as you joined your friends on a ship not powered by psionics to go take down the tyrannical ruler of your species, you started to feel optimistic for the first time ever. You had a vital role to play. Feferi needed the perfect opportunity to strike, and both your ship and the Empress's were flying amongst plenty of star systems already claimed by the Alternian Empire. The plan was this: a digital attack on the Empress's ship to deactivate whatever systems wouldn't kill everyone on board if they went down, and stop the helm from collecting power for long enough to force her to land on a nearby habitable planet. Expected to greet her people, the Empress would leave the ship just long enough for Feferi to make her move. Caution and precision were paramount in the procurement of information about the helm system on the Empress's ship, but you weren't fazed. Until the data about the helmsman filled your screen. Title: The Psiioniic. Hatch name: Captor, Matuna. Sign: Gemini. Your ancestor was still alive? Just like that, the mission became personal. Your ancestor was alive, helmed by the Empress, the epitome of what psionic goldbloods were expected to be for the Empire. For your own sake, and for the sake of everyone like you, your greatest hope for Feferi's takeover was to free the helmsman. And you were going to start by freeing the helmsman. With the help of your friends, you formulated a plan to rescue him while everyone was preoccupied by the Eris battle and, hopefully, the announcement of a new Empress. Needless to say, the confirmation of Feferi's victory meant immeasurable relief for you for multiple reasons. And now, you're racing through the ship of the recently deceased Condess in pursuit of a victory of your own. Turn left! Karkat's voice in your ear tells you. He's watching from Feferi's ship. It wasn't safe for him to board this one until she took charge. Now that she has the power to protect him, you'll see him soon enough. You're not alone, though, and you're grateful for the familiar faces that stride down the corridors alongside you. Sent with you for defense, Aradia, Nepeta, and Equius are skilled combatants, but more importantly, they're all better trained diplomats than you are. The idea is to lean on that first and only fight if necessary. But, frankly, you don't care what they have to do, as long as you can get your ancestor out of here alive. Fortunately, no one on the way to the Helm's block gives you much trouble. Telling them that the new Empress sent you is enough for most people. Surely they've heard the news by now. The guards at the door to the Helm's block are a different story.
We can't let you pass. Leave now or I'll make you.
A tough-looking purple blood commands you, and the threat lingers at the edges of your senses like his words are echoing in your ears. We were sent by the new Empress, Aradia tries. It's urgent business, very time-sensitive. We're under strict orders not to let anyone through without explicit authorization from this ship's chain of command, a cerulean guard says flatly.
Do not those officials ultimately answer to the Empress herself?
Equius points out. For matters pertaining to the operations of this ship, orders from our own officials take precedent. Tampering with the Helm's block endangers the survival of the thousands of people currently residing here. What danger? You blurt incredulously. We're on an inhabited planet! Ugh, whatever, I don't have time for this! With an impatient growl, you shove the cerulean guard out of the way and ignore the warning way Aradia says your name.
Unfortunately, she's not the only one who senses your intentions. The purple blood reaches for your hand as you raise it to tear the door open, and when you yank your arm out of his grasp, he throws a punch. Before you can even dodge it, your friends leap to your defense. The cerulean tries to cut in and is swiftly knocked out. You don't even see who does it. The purple roars, sending a wave of intimidation out like a rushing tide. Your friends stumble, but you aren't afraid. You came here to do one thing, and you won't leave until it's done. Your vision goes blazing, panic-inducing red-blue as you charge toward the guard. In seconds, he's a heap at your feet, scorched and bleeding, but still breathing. He'll be fine. You grab his wrist like he grabbed yours and slam his palm on the scanner next to the door frame.
I'm sure I don't need to tell you how unnecessary and dangerous that was,
Karkat remarks in your ear.
No, I think you better tell him again, just to make sure.
Aradia replies with an innocent smile. Both of you shut up, you grumble and step further into the block beyond, before any more of your friends can scold you. The helm's block is bigger than a lot of people think. Really, it's a control room for the entire ship, keyboards and monitors lining every inch. None of these stations need to be manned, though, not with a helmsman connected to them. Now they're unpowered and dim. In the dead center of the room is a dark, round chamber that stretches from floor to ceiling. You stumble to a halt when you see it, and your breath quickens as you look up. The sight that greets you shouldn't be a surprise. You've seen pictures of helmsmen before. But nothing could have prepared you to see it in person, and especially not on someone who so closely resembles you. Lightheaded and trembling, you feel your blood pusher start to race, but you push forward anyway. You have a mission here, and you're so unbelievably close. No time to waste. You keep your tone steady and emotionless as you ask, EQ, can you tell if there's anything here that'd fuck him up if we disconnected him now? Anything we should shut off?
Almost everything here is already offline. It seems no one has reversed your attack since you launched it.
Good, you say, and open the chamber. It's then that you can really properly see him. Your ancestor, the Psiioniic, helmsman of the battleship Condescension, a man who so long ago lost the fight for his freedom and ended up here, stripped of his very personhood in perpetual service of an empress who prolonged his pain so she could profit from his power, as if one lifetime of this suffering weren't enough. Every hour of that suffering shows on his face, a face so like yours. For a moment, you see yourself here, 1,000 daymares from throughout your life echoing in your mind. No, that's not happening. You're never ending up in this helm, and you're not going to let your ancestor stay in it either. Hesitantly, quietly, you ask, Psiioniic, can you hear me? Nothing happens. You're not certain he's conscious right now. You're assured, however, by the faint rise and fall of his chest. In case he can hear you, you say, Everything's going to be fine. I'm getting you out of here. You just need to figure out how. So much of Alternian technology is biological in nature. It never used to disturb you. Managing game grubs or tending to your bees was an ordinary part of your life. But helm tech gets a little harder to stomach. You're not sure what you're looking at, but it looks like nerves and muscle fibers, and your ancestor is half buried in it, like it's holding him in place. Can you just pull it away? Tentatively, you try it and find that you can. There's some resistance before it lets go, but it's not embedded in his body at all, just wrapped around him. You think maybe this is some sort of overgrowth from the biomatter in the wires, like how moss overtakes a ruin. You sweep it away as carefully as possible and try not to think about how long it must have taken for this much of it to build up, or why no one else bothered to remove it. Maybe it holds on tighter when the ship is powered? Or does it serve a purpose? Is it meant to hold him in? You don't like either of those ideas and decide you'd rather not know. The actual wires prove much more difficult to remove. Perhaps once it was as easy as unplugging a palm husk charger, but now bits of the wires have delved deeper, like the roots of a plant, reaching greedily to feed on their surroundings. You only know this is the case when you pull the first one out with great effort and see the progressively smaller tendrils branching from the end, and the gold starting to pool in the empty port. "Fuck," you hiss under your breath. You hope you aren't hurting him. Surely this stings, but you have to keep going. Apologetically, you pry the wires free one by one until finally he's detached from this chamber and collapses in a heap on the floor with a weighty thud, despite your attempts to catch him. Holding your breath to listen for his, you kneel down to gently scoop him up. You carry him psionically, but Karkat insists the sensation of being picked up with Psi is rather alarming, and you don't want to startle him in this state. Flying, however, is essentially picking yourself up with your psionics, so that's probably okay, right? You kick up and float about a foot above the ground, already turning for the door as you say, "KK, do you have directions to the medbay?" Karkat guides you over comms, and you don't waste any time getting there. Your friends have to sprint to keep up with you, but you won't slow down until you're sure your ancestor will be okay. You're still breathless and unsettled as the medics look him over. Without the faded flight suit and goggles, you can see how thin he is, how dim his eyes are. He looks so tired and fragile. It seems to take them forever to patch up the wounds. Just outside the room they're working in, your friends wait patiently with you. At some point, Feferi brings Karkat over. She can't stay long, but you both congratulate each other on accomplishing your respective missions. Your other friends leave with her, so it's just you and Karkat. You fall into his arms, relieved to see him.
"I can't believe we did it," you breathe. "We really won. It's over. Why doesn't it feel over?"
You've all spent sweeps preparing for this day, traveling through space, planning and training and working, never forgetting the stakes, never letting yourselves relax. There's still work to be done, of course, but the worst of it is behind you with the Empress dead. You have room to breathe now, so why do you feel like you're suffocating? One of the metacolors comes out to give you an update. Your ancestor is stable. He's pretty out of it, but there's no evidence of pan damage. It might be a while before he's responsive and coherent, but once he is, there's a room down the hall you can take him to, a vacant individual respite block. In the meantime, there's a cluster of more general residential blocks nearby where you and Karkat can stay if you want.
"It's up to you,"
Karkat tells you.
"I'll do whatever you do."
"I want to stay close," you say. Karkat nods.
"Do you want me to bring your stuff over from Feferi's?"
"If it's not too much to ask."
"Of course not."
"You know where it is?"
"Strewn across the fucking floor like a tornado ripped through a dumpster? Yeah."
You roll your eyes and shove him away for that.
"Oh, fuck off,"
you sigh, and then immediately pull him back for a kiss before he leaves. The two of you settle into a comfortable respite block, far nicer than the living quarters on the tiny ship you came here in. Several hours pass, restless and empty at the same time. You can't quite say what you did in that time aside from worry. You worry about your ancestor, worry he won't be okay, worry your effort will have been for nothing, worry there's some other threat looming, worry all the victories you and your friends achieved tonight will vanish before your eyes. You want to be glad that everything went so well, but it's unsettling too. It feels like there's a disaster you don't yet know about, just waiting for the perfect time to strike. At least when you were younger and never expected anything good to happen to you, the bad stuff wasn't so terrifying. Karkat tries to talk it out with you, but he can't get through. So instead, he decides to demonstrate his support by hugging you on the lounge plank. He tries to distract you with movies for a while, which arguably works, if only because you zone out too hard to think about much of anything. For a while, there's no you. Nothing around you is real except Karkat's embrace. When you come back to yourself, he still hasn't let go of you. Eventually, it gets late enough that Karkat tries to pull you in the direction of the Recupera-kun, but you can't relax enough to sleep. You're grateful that he doesn't press you on the matter, at least this time. He gets in by himself, leaving you alone on the lounge plank with your restless mind. Once you're sure Karkat's asleep, you quietly grab the bag with your husk top in it, slip out of the block, and trudge through the halls to sit at your ancestor's side. You leave Karkat a message, so he won't panic if he wakes up before you return. Your own behavior baffles you, quite frankly. There are few people you care about this much. Not that you're uncaring, but rarely would you be driven to insomnia by anxiety over someone's well-being unless it was like Karkat or Aradia. Yet today, your sole focus has been the recovery of someone you haven't properly met, someone you didn't even know was still alive until about a sweep ago. Sure, your existence stems from his, and you likely have a lot in common, but you don't really know him yet. Still, you risked everything to free him, because after everything he's endured, he deserves the same freedom you're going to bring the rest of your cast, regardless of who he is. And his freedom would mean hope for so many people. The universe is so unfair, you know that. But he deserves kindness and rest, and you'll do everything in your power to ensure that. And you don't know what you'll do if he doesn't recover. It's strange, learning how to hope after a lifetime of feeling hopeless. You aren't used to having so much to lose. Time passes, and you sit silently, listening to his slow, quiet breaths as you look from his skinny, bandaged arms to his dim, weary eyes to his long, unkempt hair. Assorted medical people come and go, checking on things and assuring you he's doing well. Your blood pusher damn near skips a beat when the slightest sound of shifting fabric grabs your attention. The sound recurs, and your gander bulbs don't deceive you. His arm just moved slightly. You focus on his face just in time to see him look up. You saw before how dark his eyes are. The two-toned glow of his psionics is so faint as his body tries to rebuild its energy. But he's awake. He seems to look around for a bit, probably confused as to where he is. Then his eyes land on you, staring intensely like he's trying to read your mind. You should say something.
Psionic? Can you understand me?
Your voice sounds so timid. At first, he doesn't move. He just keeps looking at you with a quietly bewildered expression. You can't imagine being so unaccustomed to being in your own body. But after a while of looking at his surroundings and himself, he slowly tilts his head in a way that looks like it was meant to be a nod.
My name's Sollux,
you tell him. I'm your descendant. His eyes widen slightly at that, and he slowly tries to reach for you.
Oh, careful,
you say as you gently take his hand. You are goddamn covered in injuries. Sorry about that. Wires put up a hell of a fight when I was getting you out. I hope I didn't hurt you too much. Are you feeling okay? Looking down at his carefully wrapped arms, he opens his mouth to try to respond, but the strangled sound that escapes him dies before he can figure out how to form words. He winces. Between his ruined voice and being so unused to using his mouth, it seems verbal communication is out of the question for the moment.
That's okay. I'll get someone to check on you. Be right back.
You promise, and poke your head out the door to call out to whoever you see first. Now that Psionic is properly conscious, they're able to confirm that he's in impressive condition for where he just was. His movements are slow and shaky, but he can stand and even take a few steps without help, and they're sure he'll be able to go farther as he gets used to it. They're less optimistic about the speech thing, but they ask him a few questions to make sure his think pan works, and are pretty satisfied that it does. Given that he was very recently controlling the entire ship, you're not surprised by this, but you're glad that everything that's happened since then hasn't caused permanent think pan damage. Once you've got him settled into the longer-term recovery block, the two of you are left alone. You decide to stay here to keep him company, sending Karkat a quick update on your whereabouts before curling up in the corner with your husk top as you feel a massive tension and you finally unwind. He's alive. He's going to be okay. And you are too. Mission fucking accomplished.